Hey, good morning everyone. It's Craig again and welcome back to my channel. As you can see, I'm back out on the trails this morning and just having a nice little hike. It's a beautiful morning. It's about 55 degrees. Kind of partly cloudy out. The sun's been coming in and out. And so I want to talk about a few changes that are coming to the channel. I hope will be for the good. As you can see in the that I changed the name of the channel, and the name, part of the name references the type of diet my wife and I have been on for the last few years. The name of the channel is now the Carnivore Hiker, and my wife and I have been on a carnivore type diet for the last, I don't know, 3.5, 4 years now, and it's a diet that's worked for us, and I'll talk about that more in a little bit. Second change I want to do is when I do these videos, I want to take and talk a little bit to you first, and then I'm going to flip the camera around and we're going to have you come along with me, and you can look and see what I'm looking at and see what I'm seeing, and just enjoy the beauty of the trails that I'm on today. And thirdly, I want to take and try and do maybe 2 videos a week. One where I'm out on the trails, and the second one where I'm talking about a piece of equipment, given my own just unsolicited review. Last week I talked about the boots that I wear, and that I have 2 pairs of them, one blue and one gray, and as promised I did get the gray ones out today. And so I'm going to try and keep this hike a little shorter today because I haven't worn these ones before, and I'm not really a fan of blisters, so I don't want to get any blisters or anything. But anyway, last week I mentioned when I was on these trails, there's a little wide open area here. I wish they would put like some picnic tables. Well, this is it right here. Look at this. You can put a couple of picnic tables out here, you know, something for people to sit on, have a little snack, take a little break, and just kind of relax and enjoy the scenery out here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to flip the camera around, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the diet my wife and I have been on. Now, I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving any kind of medical or diet advice. Before you start any kind of diet, whether it's carnivore, ketogenic, Atkins, whatever kind of diet you want to do, just make sure you do your research first. The pros and cons, things like that, and do what's best for you. Again, I'm not telling everybody you got to get on the carnivore diet. You got to get on here. It's great. It worked for us. May not work for everybody else. I do know quite a few people that have been on it, and it's worked for them, and they're still on it. But you do what's right for you. So with that, I'm going to flip the camera around, and I'm just going to talk, and you're going to enjoy the scenery. So here we go. So going back to the carnivore diet here, so about almost 4 years ago, and I mentioned in another video that I had a career change. Wasn't happy in my previous job and did a career change and went into a field that I hadn't been in for, I don't know, 20, 25 years. I went back into the manufacturing field after years of being in customer service and hospitality and sales and stuff like that. Just wasn't happy anymore. Needed a change. So when I made that change, I stepped on the scale one morning, and it was about 220 pounds, give or take, a pound or so. And, didn't really think anything of it. Well, within the first month of me doing my career change, my new job, I noticed I'd lost 10 pounds. My job is pretty physical, so, come to reason that physical activity, a little more physical activity than what I was doing helped. Well, then my wife, who also was a little overweight at the time, started doing some research on different diets. And I'm crossing the snowmobile trail here. I think I mentioned this one last week, the snowmobile ATV trail. So it just kind of runs through here. Don't see too many of them out here though right now. I'm sure wintertime when it's covered with snow, we'll see some snowmobiles. Anyway, she started doing research on the carnivore diet, on the pros and cons and that. And a couple of the people she was watching on YouTube who are actual doctors, one's a family practitioner, the other I believe is a neurosurgeon down in Australia, and a few other people too, a few other doctors and that. I got a fly on my screen there. They were talking about how they've been on the diet and the effects it's had for them and what it's done for them as far as their overall health and losing weight and other aspects that were affecting them, arthritis, inflammation, things like that. And so we decided, hey, might as well, why not? So we started it one time, kind of fell off, but then I think it was a couple weeks later, we started up again, and we were kind of strict about it. We both stopped drinking for a little while, and not that we're heavy drinkers, you know, we do enjoy a beer now and then, even now. But it was mainly, you know, just eating the animal-based products, and that's what the carnivore diet is. It's eating animal-based products, so meat, chicken, you know, any kind of poultry, fish, seafood, other animal-based products, butter, cheese, and you got to watch it with some of the cheeses and go easy on it. Cheese can kind of, you know, add some weight or whatever. Heavy cream, sour cream, things like that. Things like that you got to kind of go easy on because they can have some adverse effects. And you can be as strict as you want to on this diet. I'll get back to my wife and I here in a second, but there's a gentleman down in Florida. He's on YouTube, and for the last several years he's done what he's called the lion diet. It's beef, water, and salt. That's it. That's all he does. And he's lost a lot of weight. He looks good. He works out, and that. There's a couple down in Arizona, and they're also on YouTube. They've documented their journey as well, and they've been strict carnivore. However, they do use, you know, some spices and things like that. And that's kind of a talking point too in the carnivore diet. Well, you know, some of these spices and seasonings aren't good for you. Well, you know, we'll talk about those on another day. But so getting back to my wife and I, when we went on this, we started out actually fairly strict. Beef, chicken, you know, we didn't do any vegetables, we didn't do any fruit. Drank a ton of water, still drink a ton of water, and started noticing some effects. Number one, the weight loss. I started out, I think I mentioned earlier, about 220 pounds. And through the first, 3 or 4 months of this diet, I dropped down to, I think it was about, at that time it was about 175. So I lost 45 pounds at that point. As we kind of continued on, that was within about the first 3 or 4 months. As we continued on, I dropped a few more pounds and got down to about 169. So a total of 51 pounds I had lost, which was fantastic. I hadn't been under 200 pounds, I bet, in 15 years or more. Now, once we kind of got to our, or close to our goal weights, we thought, well, let's, kind of change this up into a little bit of a ketovore version of that. So we did that. We integrated a few vegetables, and then at one point, I think the holidays came up, and we just kind of derailed. That happens on the holidays. You eat food and stuff like that, and pretty soon you're out of control. And pretty soon I had ballooned back up to a little over 200 pounds. Well, that was it for that. So back on Carnivore we went, lost the weight, got back down into the 170s, and stayed there for a while. But then, things happen and stuff like that. You have a cheat day here and there. Now I'm not afraid to say it, I'm at 185 now. So I'm still 35 pounds below where I started. And at this point, I do want to get back down into the 170s. I'd like to at least lose 10 more pounds, get down to about 175. And that, but some of the other things I've noticed, other than the weight loss, is I have some mild arthritis in my right hand. And I noticed when I was really kind of strict on the diet that my hand wasn't feeling, I wasn't feeling the effects of the arthritis much. I could tell the inflammation was going down. I could move my hand a lot easier. Not that it's difficult to move my hand. It's just sometimes I'd get a little shot of pain through a joint and that. But I've noticed those effects. My blood pressure too. I've had high blood pressure for a number of years and was on a couple of medications for it. I've been able to drop at least one of those medications, so that's a good sign. Hopefully with my next physical coming up here in a couple months, I can maybe drop the other one. But just eating this kind of diet, and a lot of people call it the proper human diet, and it's what a lot of our ancestors ate. It's all they ate. I mentioned, a YouTube influencer does the lion diet. There's other versions of this they call it BBBE, beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. It's a little combination of different animal products. You got your pork in there with the bacon, and of course we all know bacon makes everything better. You got, eggs. You got butter. You got beef. And it's amazing how many different ways you can cook up ground beef and enjoy its flavor if you do it right. There are some sauces out there. If we do a sauce or something, really low carb, low to no sugar. Quite frankly, sugars aren't that great for you. One of the things with sugar is cancer feeds off sugar, and that. One of my favorite ways with a bowl of ground beef is just the bowl and maybe a fried egg or two on top. Break those yolks, let the yolk run through the beef, and a little salt on top of that. Absolutely delicious. And staying hydrated too on this diet. I think I mentioned, drinking loads of water and that. And we use an electrolyte mix that we put in our waters too. And I'll talk about that another day, what we use. And there's plenty of them out there. Again, use what works for you. But we've really noticed the effects. You know, less inflammation, less stiffness in joints. I keep getting flies on my screen here. You know, the weight loss, just having more energy, sleeping better. Both my wife and I snored, and I've noticed, you know, being on this diet, the snoring has decreased immensely, to the point where we don't snore that much or don't snore at all. And that, which is great for getting a lot of good sleep, because that's part of sleep apnea and that. So, and hopefully never have to get on a CPAP machine or anything like that. So, but that's a little bit about the diet. Again, whatever, if you're looking to get on some kind of diet to lose some weight, get into better health, be sure you do your research and that. Research different diets, you know, carnivore diet, ketogenic diet, whatever you're looking at getting on. And, you know, if you feel like it, talk to your doctor too. And that. So, but anyway, I'm going to start wrapping this up. And I thank you for coming along with me again. Hopefully you enjoyed looking at the trails, you know, and the woods as much as I do and have. And want to do this again here soon. And probably later this week I'll do a video on another piece of equipment that I use. And a short video just to kind of talk about it a little bit. But anyway, I hope everybody has a good rest of your long Labor Day weekend. And enjoy the weather wherever you are. If it's raining, I don't know how much there is to enjoy about that. It makes for a good movie day though. Get out and hike. Get out and do something. Kayak, canoe, swim, whatever. Get out, be active, have fun. And I hope to see you all and talk to you again soon. Again, I changed the name to the Carnivore Hiker, so talk to your friends about it. Anyone that wants to listen to me go on about hiking and carnivore and whatever else, would love the or not the attention, but would love the views. So please like and subscribe down below. If you have any questions or comments for me, please comment down below. And everybody have a good rest of the weekend. And remember, lace up your boots and hike on.